Hey everyone, welcome back. So, we have come to the end of this topic, but before we wrap this segment up, I want to give you an overview of the relevance of this topic to the GCE O-Levels exam. Indices typically take up 5 to 7% combined weightage of paper 1 and 2 of the elementary mathematics exam. It can be split into a few questions, from simplifying indices expressions to solving equations involving indices. This may also come in the guise of simplifying algebraic expressions or solving algebraic equations. You will most likely encounter some form of simple or compound interest questions that can easily come in the form of a word problem mixed with other topics such as percentages or hire purchase or commission. However, as we have introduced in earlier segments, indices grows deeper than just the superficial questions that you see. It is a fundamental building block of many elementary and pure mathematics topics, so having a good grasp of indices is definitely important. Let's now take a look at what we have learned in this topic. First of all, let's recall the 5 laws of indices. It is important to identify which laws to use and not get confused with the mechanisms such as adding the index when there are index notations with common bases that are being multiplied, or subtracting the index when they are being divided. Also, for different terms in the same bracket raised to the power of a common index, we need to ensure that the index is being multiplied to the individual term's index. Terms without indication of index simply means that its index is 1. Next, we were introduced to zero and negative indices. For zero indices, it simply means anything to the power of 0 is 1. Anything. For negative indices, you simply flip or reciprocate the term or the fractions. We were also introduced to solving equations involving indices. Here, we always try to leave both sides of the equation in an index form of the same base. We do this with the help of all preceding laws and properties that we have learned in this chapter. Next, we just need to compare the two indices on both sides of the equation and equate them to solve for the unknown. We need to take note of questions with large fractions or numbers and be systematic with our approach. For standard form, it is always important to remember our first principles, which is number 1, it is expressed in the form of a times 10 to the power of n. A is any number between 1 to 10, not inclusive of 10. Number 2, move the decimal point such that the number is between 0 and less than 10. Number 3, count the number of places we move the decimal. By moving the decimal right, we can expect the index to be negative. By moving the decimal left, we can expect the index to be positive. The last segment is on simple and compound interest. The formula for simple interest is interest is equals to principal sum times interest rate times time period, or simply I equals to PRT. The formula for compound interest is amount equals to principal times 1 plus interest rate in brackets raised to the power of n, where n is the number of times the interest is compounded within a time period. If the interest rate R is an annual rate but compounded, say, 2 times a year, divide R by 2 and ensure that n is 2 times per year. In a 2-year period, n will then be 4. Look back at example 32 to get a better understanding. The main difference between simple and compound interest is that simple interest calculates interest accrued on the original principal sum P, while compound interest takes into account the accumulated principal sum. That's defined by the 1 plus R term. I do hope that you enjoyed this series of videos. More importantly, I hope you are now able to appreciate the uses of indices and see its application in real life. The topic of indices is really just accumulation of what you learned in algebra so far, and is still just a fundamental tool that you will need to understand some of the upcoming chapters. I will urge you to do more practices, some of which you can find on the EFA website. Remember, correct practice makes perfect. So, practice it right. If you like what you see here, click on the subscribe button and stay tuned for more comprehensive videos. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.